Dear Agni Yogis, let us look at the world situation from above. Imagine an alien, a creature from Mars, Orion, or another higher world, observing what is happening on Earth from a spaceship. How would it assess the situation? What do we call a state where violence reigns, where gangsters and criminals can commit evil unbridled, backward and primitive? What does Cosmos call a planet where states can freely invade other peoples and cause destruction and chaos on an unimaginable scale, backward and primitive? The world community is weak. The forces of good, of light, are weak. Those of evil, of darkness, strong. Ethics, justice, and the law are not being enforced. Instead, chaos reigns. Shuddering with horror, the alien would exclaim, "The weakness of the world community is a disgrace to humanity." Are we not ashamed of the sad sight that our home planet presents to Cosmos? One can only weep over the terrible state of the Earth. The most terrible crimes are being committed before our very eyes, and no one intervenes. Not only those directly affected suffer, but also everyone who has to witness this calamity. By allowing such atrocities, the world community is complicit. Back home, the alien will report. Barbaric conditions still prevail on this planet. Perhaps in 100 or 200 years one might come back to see whether the Earth has in the meantime joined the circle of civilized worlds. What is to be done? What is needful to end the war is obvious. The International Court of Justice of the United Nations in The Hague delivered a verdict on March 16, 2022 to this effect: the war of aggression, which brutally flouts international law, human rights, and the natural world order, must end immediately. The world powers, USA, China, England, and France, would have to carry out a police action on behalf of the United Nations, enforce the judgment, and stop the war. What a triumph would it be for the cause of light and for the afflicted inhabitants if the international community were to place ancient cultural sites like Kiev and Odessa under its protection. If the whole world sticks together, the aggressor stands no chance, even if he owns nuclear weapons. If a single person commits robbery or murder, that is not tolerated either, and the police intervene, using force if necessary. In the same way, the world community must take action against crimes committed by a state. Why do the consensus of the world community and a police action fail? Because of the national egotism of the peoples and their governments, above all of the superpowers, which bear the main responsibility for the fate of the earth. We recognize humanity must progress, otherwise the state criminals will continue to commit evil unopposed. Evolution requires a world government. Chaos reigns in a country when there is no state government ruling all individual human beings. Chaos reigns on the whole planet when there is no world government ruling all individual states. The compelling necessity of the circumstances imperatively calls upon humanity to free itself from barbarism and to finally take this long overdue step in development. In order to achieve worldwide unified leadership, we must become aware all human beings, peoples and nations of this planet form a community. Violations of the cosmic order, of the rule of truth, justice, beauty and love, anywhere in the world, even in the remotest place, affect each and every one of us. Let us learn to feel like citizens of the world. Let us regard all fellow men of all nations as our brothers and sisters. Progress and regression in the development of the earth concern all of us together. The dinosaurs were not eliminated from evolution individually, but as a whole species. Likewise, not individual peoples, but humanity as a whole will either perish or advance further. How can we promote this awareness of the world community? It is slowly beginning to form, if not voluntarily, then through suffering. Globalization, the increasing worldwide division of labor and cooperation in all fields, our ever-increasing interdependence, rising commodity prices, and many similar factors result in almost the whole world being affected by the war in Europe. Evolution drives people to draw nearer to each other, whether they want to or not. The Agni Yogis of all countries are particularly suffering from the catastrophe. There are many indications in the books of the teaching that hierarchy had intended Russia to be one of the leading nations in the building of the new world. A teaching is given in a particular language, in Russian, for a good reason. The language used indicates which nation is meant to manifest the next step of evolution. The flourishing of Russia is a guarantee of thriving and peace for the whole world. The destruction of Russia is the destruction of the whole world. However, contrary to what many Russians think, this is no guarantee. The Russian people, misusing their free will, can load themselves with such a bad karma that they will not be able to fulfill their mission at all, or only much later than ordained. For the foreseeable future, the terrible war of aggression precludes any claim by Russia to a role of spiritual leadership. Perhaps this might now fall to Ukraine, which, with the Kievan Rus, already provided the Ur-Russia, Old Russia, and also the cradle of Russian Orthodox Christianity, long before the Moscow Tsars. What can I, small person, do to help bring about a world government? First, transform into a new man. Without him, there is no progress. The new world will be created by immortal men of spirit of high vibration, who are no longer susceptible to lower vibrations, such as aggressiveness and violence. Next, you can and must establish the new world in your own place of residence and work. However, that does not mean non-committal, inactive, esoteric chatter about light and love. Your task is start a new construction. Where you are standing right now, in the midst of chaos, establish a branch of Shambhala. What does that require, concretely and practically? The great project of worldwide significance is, in essence, quite simple. You establish in your everyday life the 10 pillars of the practice of Agni Yoga, on which there is a separate series of broadcastings. Where these are actually practiced, a higher order, a better world emerges. In the broadcasting, we are building the world of the future. We have described in more detail how you can proceed. What does the new world look like? Where it already exists, there is no need, no suffering, no greed, no violence, no war, no poverty, and no unemployment. Even the abolition of money is looming on the horizon. The particulars are given in our broadcastings on the New World. Such bulwarks of the New World are points of light, which can be seen by an alien flying past the earth in an UFO, or by the Mahatmas at their seat in the Himalaya. Like the light in the somber valley seen by the mountaineer from his peaks, every bright thought in your mind, my brother, will sparkle and attract the attention of your distant friend. Thus we discover our natural allies in the shadow world, and it is our law to approach every such an one, if even there be but the feeblest glimmer of the true Tathagata Buddha light within him. The darkness of the earth is illuminated by these points of light. Each and every one of them helps to present our planet a little bit better to Cosmos. Therefore, always ask yourself, am I shining? Am I giving such a radiance to the place where I live that Cosmos, an alien, or the Mahatmas can perceive it? Everyone is called upon to take up the fight against the atrocities of the present time and to help building a better world. As a balance, as a counterweight, as an atonement for the terrible misdeeds of our fellow men, we have to create as many points of light as possible. The more darkness there is, the more light we must let shine in order to maintain the equilibrium on Earth. In a next step, many light bearers will unite to form communities, networks of light, which will make the Earth sparkle even brighter than mere isolated points of light. We had already said in our broadcastings the Brotherhood of Shambhala, and we are building the world of the future. The Brotherhood of Shambhala forms an invisible world government. There is only one way to make this higher guidance real and effective on the earthly plane. Each and every one of us must submit to the government of the Mahatmas. This is your contribution to saving the world. In this way, the reign of Shambhala will expand with time over the whole earth. We are increasing the number and the expense of the places and areas which are ruled by the Brotherhood. There, terrible things like those in Ukraine can no longer happen. Isn't such a world government utterly unrealistic in the foreseeable future? Well, we have to start sometime somewhere, otherwise it will never be realized. Let us first establish not a physical, but a spiritual governance of hierarchy. This can be implemented by anyone, at any time, in any place, and under any circumstances. How do you mean that? Every individual and every small community can conduct everyday life as if a hierarch were present. We can behave as if a member or an authorized representative of the Brotherhood is in charge and ensures the observance of the cosmic order among us. Thus, over time, we will become mature enough to allow hierarchy to rule at least parts of the earth materially, and to enforce there physically the reign of truth, justice, beauty, and love.